Hello, welcome to Game 2 of the Medium Games Finals between SSounder and jtrupiano. SSounder gets first player here in Game 2. Let's take a look at what we got. So we can certainly build an engine here. Quite a bit of draw with Barge and Seer, Royal Blacksmith even. Wild Village is our village, and Molly. So we can certainly get a village stuff going, look out, and research our trashers. I think we're going to want to play with at least one of those, if not both. The only question is how we start. There's some logic to going lookout Baron. If you see lookout in the first hand, there's a good likelihood that you can, trash in such a way to make sure your Baron hits turn 4. Baron means you'll very likely be able to hit Seer. Both Lookout and Baron are good with Seer, because Seer will help you draw the Baron, and it will help you draw the estates for the Baron to discard, and then you'll see all those coppers on the top of the deck, which you can look out trash. I think you're certainly going to want to have some duration barges. But in general, it's just a question of when we decide to go in on the knights and how that process unfolds. So SSounder opens Silver Research. Just not quite sure what that. I think I prefer Lookout Baron. I think you're still likely to hit 5 one of the 2 turns, and you can do some shuffle management with Lookout. Research Silver. You're hoping you don't see Research and Silver 2 coppers estate turn 1, but it's not like the most unlikely draw. SSounder does hit 5 turn 3 and gets a Barge, which seems like a pretty good, especially paired with their opening buys. So Jay, as I thought, with the Baron line, wants to go ahead and get a Seer instead of a Barge, which makes sense. I think the Seer pairs more nicely with the Lookout Baron opening. This is not super trivial for Jay, but I'm pretty sure you discard the estate here. You don't really want to draw it next turn. You're going to draw it with the Seer, most likely. I think you have another estate down there. I would have strongly considered trashing that estate. The estate does not seem like a particularly good card in the deck. So S is going to draw a deck here. They're actually going to trigger a shuffle next turn with this Barge duration draw. Okay, they do just naturally draw it. To answer the question how many estates you keep with Seer Baron, typically the answer is 1 if you can get away with it. I don't really want more than 1 in the deck. You're fairly likely to find it. Your Lookout's going to trash through all your coppers. I would most of the time consider 1 to be the right number. In the late game, maybe you use, and if you're drawing really well with Seer in the late game, maybe you add some extra estates just for the VP, and you're okay absorbing that with the Seer draw. So Jay's finally hitting a price point where they can buy 2 cards, which is quite nice. I assume this will be Seer and Walled Village. Walled Village in preparation for the Barge stuff. Both players seem content to avoid the knights at this point of the game. I generally approve of that here. Like Sir Michael's an attack. You kind of run the risk of revealing Dame Anna, which is nice. Dame Anna's quite nice. She's probably the best knight here. Yeah, like Dame Molly's not doing a ton. Well, I guess, DZ, are you an adult or a child, I guess is the question I would ask you. I don't know how old you are. If you're over the age of 14, then I would say pizza. Just a nice kale salad, DZ. Something like that. So I believe we're gonna be drawing deck here. Yeah, and we see our payload here. So SSounder needs to consider adding a little bit more payload here. Although they've got one money in the mat, they've only got 8 money in the deck. I think I would strongly consider going silver here. Silver seems a little bit early. Silver Walled Village also seems early. The double silver opens a little bit sad if you don't find the Barge for the plus buy. That being said, I think I probably want to go for silver here as SSounder, and then just try to get Barges and Walled Villages the next turn. They do go in for Sir Michael. I feel like the problem with their deck right now is they're not hitting 10. They want to be hitting 10, right? So they could, or 9s, they could buy Walled Village Barge. Or they want to hit 11, so they could buy Barge Gold. The Sir Michael does not really seem like it's solving that problem. That being said, Jay did not hit 5, so they're not able to pick up Day Mana here. I guess at this point of the game, turn 8, Day Mana is not as good. Both players have done quite a bit of trashing already, so it's not like Day Mana is doing a ton of work. Although, you know, it's nice to have a 2-0 night split. If you end up winning the night split 6-4 and you've just got 2 knights in your deck, this seems like the kind of kingdom where you can just kind of wreak havoc on your opponent. And, that being said, if you're at risk of that, you can just do fairly simple things. Add just a ton of gold and barges and wall villages to your deck and absorb the losses potentially. Especially if the Night War does some amount of damage to your opponent's deck, or they invested a lot of time and effort into getting all the knights. With the Seer on top of the deck, I think Jay is considering researching a Seer first. It does make some sense. Researching a state to set aside that Seer. It makes some sense to me, but it does look like we're gonna be drawing deck here, so not a huge issue. And this is essentially a free choice because we're going to research this estate now and set aside both cards, so it doesn't matter. So this is the advantage to the Baron stuff. We're hitting 10 now. So I think we can just peel off Day Mana for sure, and then decide once we see what the knight is beneath Day Mana. If we're going to buy a knight, we should always buy the knight with the first buy, because that lets us pick what the second knight... That lets us get a choice if the second knight is super good for some reason. We decide it's super good. I'm not sure which knight that is here. It's certainly not Josephine. We see Josephine, we're pretty happy. Okay, going for the Walled Village. This discard attack is actually not going to hurt Jay because they have 3 Seers in their hand, which is quite nice. I would strongly consider discarding a Seer as jtrupiano, to the point of saying I think it will be a mistake if they discard the Lookout, given the number of coppers that they have in their deck. Well, they've got 3. Maybe it's not a mistake if they only have 3 coppers in that 8 cards, but I think I want to discard the Seer and then play a Seer, see some coppers, look out to trash a copper, discard a copper, and then play the other Seer. What Time My Shoelace means is, and that is the end of the Night Brigade. Yeah, so you get Sir Michael because the attack is annoying. It's the only discard attack in the kingdom, I guess, other than Pillage, which I don't expect. I don't know. I don't super expect to see it. It doesn't seem necessarily terrible, but Sir Michael's a good knight, and then Day Mana lets you finish trashing. You can trash your coppers. You can trash the Lookout when you're done trashing coppers. So that's fine. Yeah, I'm saying Seer Silver here definitely should be the discard. Trashing the Baron hurts. That is the best card in jtrupiano's deck. I was going to say besides Seer, but I think that's actually just the best card in jtrupiano's deck. Now that they don't have a Seer anymore, they can consider other options. So if we discarded the Lookout, if we'd had the Lookout now, we could have trashed one of these coppers. I think we still draw all the way through the deck. So, this seems really rough for Jay. They just lost a significant percentage of their payload, and they're still trashing. Coppers. I would have strongly considered trashing the 2 estates there and saying, thank you, Baron. You've done admirable service for me today. You know, go rest the arm, and we'll see you tomorrow. And I'm going to switch over to using other forms of money. Or you could, yes, you could discard the 2 estates. You've had 7 here. You can get like 2 silvers, which seems fine, and then you don't have these 2 estates in deck. Or, you know, the alternative is what hopefully they're doing here, which is buy back the Baron here. The problem is they're still only hitting 9 next turn. So it could be next turn they want to, and I still want to get barges for them. You know, really the ideal situation with barge is you have one duration barge every turn. So you're playing a barge as the last card of your hand as next turn, which often means you need like 3, 1 coming into play, 1 to play during the turn, and 1 to play at the end of the turn. Maybe with Seer, that's not necessary. There's enough draw here with Seer and silvers as payloads. Yeah, so SSounder has a bit of a dud turn there. And we'll see. We're getting near the point when I want to research this lookout. We're not quite there yet. I think we actually might be there right now. I think I want to draw this day mana with Seer, research the lookout, and trash 1 estate with day mana. And then we have a copper set aside, and then we hit 8, and then we can buy barge plus silver. Hopefully hit 10 next turn. Sure, there's definitely opportunities to get double barons. I don't think we're quite there yet with villages and draw. I think jtrupiano is close. They only have 1 village though, and they're trying to play 2 terminals. So, I think Baron Walled Village is slightly greedy here, but I don't know. You could make a case for it certainly, especially because they're drawing deck. They're drawing deck here, and they've gotten rid of all their coppers. So yeah, I mean, I think as J, you could strongly consider play day mana, don't trash anything, trash the research. It's done its job. It didn't do much, but I didn't expect research to do much here. I don't really get that, but okay. I think they could have just trashed the research. I don't really get the point. I mean, you don't care if the estate misses. If you've got Seer draw. As long as you draw a Seer, you're going to draw, you're going to draw that estate up pretty easily. Even with only 1 estate, you can do Baron Walled Village, though. It's fine, because you're discarding an estate, which a Seer you can guarantee that your Seer will draw that near the bottom. So something like Walled Village Baron seems pretty reasonable here as a line. Another line would be Barge Silver. Someone is unmuted. Thank you. Research the estate. Yeah, I felt like that line was a little bit awkward. I would have trashed my research and my lookout that turn and kept a copper in deck. I'm not super concerned about it. And here, yeah, you're pretty happy to see the lookout. Sorry, I was getting some noise in my headphones from Discord. So S has got 9. They've got an extra village, it looks like. They've got an extra terminal, it looks like, although they're playing that with Barge. They didn't play this Seer, so they could fairly strongly consider something like Silver here. Silver Barge. They don't need the Barge yet. They could do Silver Walled Village with sort of the idea that they will get another Barge next turn. Or, they could do something. It's awkward that these knights are taking up terminal space. We need villages to take up terminal space for the knights. Yeah, so Jay's got the double Baron action going here, which is quite nice. We're going to see them discard that same estate twice. They're going to get 12 money, and they're going to be able to add a couple of nice things to their deck. We'll see what day mana does. We're at the point now where I think SSounder is hoping that it hits Sir Michael. Sir Michael's taking up terminal space that we need to buy things. So with 12, jtrupiano, I like Walled Village, Barge, Silver here. St. Carlso asks, why trash Silver there and not Seer? I thought you were asking that sincerely. Honestly, I think Silver might be a better card in SSounder's deck than Seer is. They have a lot of Seers, and they have more Seers than they need, and not enough payload. So I think Pirate Ship is the only card where you get to choose the trashing, but DZ is in the chat and they'll tell you otherwise. Yeah, so I like Silver, Barge, Walled Village here for Jay. And like a similar set of buys next turn. And then, because the Barge stuff, the duration, we're kind of blank, we're kind of adding a Barge this turn. It takes one duration spot. Maybe we don't actually need to add another Walled Village next turn because we added. So we could go Barge, Walled Village, Silver this turn, and then like Barge, Baron, Seer next turn, something like that, and then you're just ramping up payload. It's also nice to just keep adding a bunch of these, spamming these 4 or 5 cost cards. Silvers are not bad cards here either because you're drawing them so effectively with Seers. And the kids out there can go look up what Thief is. Thief is a card that was in first edition Dominion. Yeah, we're seeing some of the downside to having all of these coppers still. This is one of the challenges with the research opening is you don't start thinning quickly. And SSounder doesn't even have a lookout anymore. So I think SSounder's in a lot of trouble here. It's possible that they could get some lucky night hits. I think jtrupiano is also in the point where they'd be very happy to trash day mana here. Yeah, absolutely. You've trashed everything you need to trash, and you're blocking the discard attack. So SSounder can also be happy because that Sir Michael was taking up terminal space that they need to draw. They went with a Seer. I would have tried to get a second Barge, I think. Barges seem like very good cards to me here. So that Seer drew 4. That Seer drew 3, and this Seer is going to draw the rest of the deck. I still would like to have a duration Barge coming in every turn. I don't think the cost is that high, especially given that both these players have ended turns with Seers in their hands. So it's not like the last Seer is doing anything. But we've got 14 here. I don't see a need to buy the last 2 Seers or even 1 Seer. I think 2 Seers is enough for what we're doing. I would consider going Baron, Walled Village, Barge. That gives you enough terminal space to play all that. You're adding 4 money to your 14. You've still got this research. I'm not quite sure what that's doing. 2 Seers and a Baron. I just Seers are not the best card for either of your decks at this point. So I'm not quite sure. I think that is underplaying that turn for Jay. And similarly, all these Seers that SSounder bought, they're now drawing deck. They have 8 money and they've got 3 Seers, but they're not able to play. So it's not like Jay denied SSounder from their Seers. This could be Baron Silver. Silver probably is the best. I was thinking Baron Silver and then play the Baron to gain the estate next turn. And then, so you're losing 2 payload next turn, but you're only getting 2 from the Silver as opposed to the Baron, but you have an extra Silver in the deck. So now we see Jay has fairly simple turns. They're discarding the estates, drawing the estate, discarding the estate, getting a ton of money. I don't really see a strong need for Jay to stop building here. Their payload is significantly bigger. This is 18? I surely want to add another Walled Village and a Barge here, just to get that reliability going. If they did like Barge, 2 Walled Villages, and Baron, I would not be upset with that. That gets them to 22, and the next turn they could go like double Province, double silver or something threaten. I think Baron, Walled Village, Province here is also fine. I really would like to add a pair of barges to the deck as durations before we start greening, but it doesn't seem super necessary right now. They have a fairly commanding lead at this point. So Baron, Walled Village, the cards that go best with that are another Walled Village and a Barge. We're close to the point where we have an estate pile out potentially. Yeah, Barge gives them, what, another pair of buys, and then they've got 4 Barons. They could gain 4 estates. Like, piles go quick. Barges are buys, and then you can grab a bunch of estates for points as needed. Here we had, 18 and 4 buys. So we're quite close with another Baron. That gets us 22 and 5 buys. Baron pile, Walled Village pile. I think it's somewhat important when we're playing out a big turn like this is before you buy Baron, Walled Village to actually figure out the 4-card set. I know you can undo, but you really want to buy these 4 cards as a, it's not like, oh, I'll buy one thing. Okay, now that I've bought that one thing, I'll buy another thing. Now let me go buy these other 2 things. It's really worth it to consider out the whole set of buys. And honestly, we can even do it for multiple turns. So we had 18 and 4 buys this turn. As of right now, we're going to have 22 and 5 buys next turn, which could be like double Province, Walled Village, double Province, Baron. Normally, like in a kingdom where you weren't using Seer as draw, I would say double Province Gold is the densest. Gold is the densest form of metal, but commonly occurring in Earth, as discovered by, as known by Archimedes. I guess Archimedes, I'm sure, did not discover that. Yeah, so this is quite sad. I think SSounder forgot that they had a Baron because they just played that Barge to draw when they had Seers in hand. We've got 10, so they're just 12 payload behind. 12 payload behind Jay. And Jay now can just grab like all the Walled Villages and Barons this turn that they want, like Province and 3 Walled Villages or something. And the Knight's not going to do anything. At worst, it trashes one of the Seers or the Barons or the Walled Villages. They've got so many copies of each. Yeah, so we can play a couple of Walled Villages first. We are slightly, it gets slightly difficult with all these Barons and only 1 estate, but it is not the end of the world. We can also think about, using one of these Barons to gain an estate. Although I think probably we would try to do that on the turn we pile out just for a bit of extra VP. So we hit the number that we'd said last turn, 22. 22 and 5 buys. So I said it's pretty easy right now to count how much money you have and buys you have this turn, 22 and 5 buys. And you can say, okay, I'm going to add 1 Baron this turn, so I'll have 26 and 6 buys next turn, something like that. Province, 3 Walled Villages, and estate or something. Like, I just wish I had a duration Barge in play just in case I don't top deck 4 Seers, but we top decked 4 Seers, so this should be a pretty easily win. Yeah, we threatened multiple pileouts here. The estate pileout is almost as easy as Baron pileout, and it might be easier because drawing around gets slightly tougher when we add provinces. Yeah, the Knights are strong. I mean, the walls do nothing to them. Against the fortress, they might have some trouble, but just a simple wall around your village is not going to protect you from the Knights. They've got to come up against something as difficult as a fortress, or too small for them to effectively fight, like a rat. Yeah, I mean, SSounder's pretty hamstrung here. There's not much they can do. J just kind of clicks on their actions and gets a pile out. They don't actually need to be discarding these estates to win here, I don't think. Yeah, they can just play the Barons to gain estates and then draw back around to their silvers and play those. That's another win for jtrupiano. I like their opening quite a bit better. They picked the opening I'd suggested of what SSounder did. There was some weird knight stuff. I think SSounder just didn't add payload quite as quickly as they needed to and focused too much on draw, although both players did that. So jtru's got a 2-game lead going into game 3.